of your lenses. So there's no rituals like, and for me, similar rules. There's never a director's chair. I hate them. Just can't stand it. It's such a ridiculous ritual. Nobody is allowed to use megaphones on my set. Nobody is allowed to use walkie-talkies within a perimeter around the camera. 30 meters around the camera, no walkie-talkies. 100 meters around the camera, no cell phones. If somebody uses a cell phone close to the camera, I quietly take it and I return it at the end of shooting. So, and I always do my own slate because I want to be the last one between the actors on one side and the technical crew on the other side, which means camera, sound, light, costumes, makeup. So I'm the last one in between, and the last one to do the slate, and then I move out. And very often I can tell an actor knows exactly what kind of text there is. I can see he knows the movement, and yet I can sense he's not ready. He's not in it completely. So sometimes I invent delays, and I say to the cinematographer, why are you using this filter here, and let's change the filter. So we change the filter and change it back to what it was. But I have gained 2, 3, 4 minutes, and I keep an eye on the actor, and I know he's getting into it. So had I shot before, just blindly started shooting, there would have been a mistake or a bad performance 30 seconds into filming. So you have to sense it, and the same thing happens in documentaries, by the way. I can sense, yes, there is somebody who is an expert who wants to tell something, and I can see it will be completely random, and it will be way too long, and it will be unfocused. So I'm standing there, and I focus them, and I talk quietly to them, and sometimes in odd ways. With Kinski, for example, I said to him, this was good, this was all good, but there's much more in the scene. And I said, I do it one more time. And he says, why do we do it one more time? I said to him, Klaus, because now you will turn the pig loose. So, and he turns it loose. So it's my privileged position is that I can be the last one in between the actors, or let's say the persons who will be on the screen later on in documentaries, and the technical apparatus.
Mm-hmm. And when you're shooting yourself, when you're the one that's operating the camera, as you sometimes do.
Yes, but I normally do not admit it. Quite often I have done entire films as my own cinematographer. Mm-hmm. But then I would call a friend of mine, a wonderful cinematographer, and I would ask him, can I use your name? It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing that I'm the producer and the writer and director. So can I use your name? And the cinematographer asked me, what is the film all about? I said, I don't tell you, but it's a good film. So, but it happened rarely, and recently I have outed myself in Bad Lieutenant, Port of Call, New Orleans, incredible iguanas and lizards and alligators in the film, and I shot this myself with a tiny lens and fiber optic, and I would move only millimeters away from the skin of the iguanas and go all the way to the eyes, and of course they were completely startled. It looked as stupid as it gets, and I wanted that, and I wanted to have a light flashing into the lens itself, and I arranged a reflector which would create this effect, and I filmed a little bit, and all of a sudden when I continued filming, the light was gone, and I said, who took my light? And Peter Zeitlinger, the cinematographer, said, well, I took it away because it gives you this, it shines right into your lens. And I said, please, Peter, put it back. I need this, I want this. So he tried to help me, but I had a specific plan. So some of the footage, which is the strangest footage in the film, I did myself.
Yeah, hallucinogenic.
The so-called iguana cam, right?
Yes.
Yeah, the iguana camera. So, and I trust in the abilities of cameramen. They know that I trust them.
Mm-hmm.
The moment they do not do funny stuff, like shooting a sunset. Peter Zeitlinger always wants, when there is a sunset, I immediately turn the scene around so that the sunset is in the back of the camera. So sometimes I have to avoid things.
People from the crew on Rescue Dawn were saying that to even use a monitor where you could see how a shot is framed, they had to hide from you. They had to cover it with some leaves or something else, because immediately when you notice that,
you're
you
the
just
first
snatch
one
it.
to tell me. I didn't even know that some of them did that. Okay.
They're in trouble.
No, it's okay. Now, I do not want to have the so-called, in the industry, it's called the video village. And what you see is there are 20 people, you only see the back of people and everybody is staring at a monitor. But the scene is happening only 2 meters away. Nobody looks at the actors anymore. Nobody looks what the camera is doing. They all look at the video monitor. And I think this is a major mistake, because it only gives you a very, very misleading idea of what you have got. Even when you shoot celluloid, even dailies, the rushes, the so-called rushes, which you can see a day or 2 days later, are very, very misleading. They look terrible. They always look so awful that I have only one defense: I fall asleep. 15 minutes in watching my own footage in a cinema without sound, only the material that has come back from the laboratory, I find it so awful and so discouraging that I either walk out or sometimes I fall asleep in defense. And it's always misleading. So I do not want to have this false security. I want people on the set who look at what is happening, who know this was really good now. This was good. We can stop it right here and move on. And there's also a strange thing happening, and for the first time ever during Rescue Dawn, less than 2 years ago, 1.5 years ago, when I was shooting. I was shooting a scene basically in one single shot. The camera was moving in and around with the actors until the scene was over in 3 minutes. And I shot it twice, maybe only twice. And I said, okay, that was it. What do we do next? Can we go to the next set? And everybody fell silent, and they said, do you really think we have done the work? And I said, yes, sure, we shot exactly what I need for the screen. And now the team said to me, what about coverage? And coverage is a term that I had never heard before. I thought, what is coverage? Is it an umbrella, or do I need a raincoat? Or what is coverage? I asked my first assistant director, who was from the Hollywood system, I asked him, what is coverage? What does it mean? And he said to me, yeah, you should shoot a reverse shot and a close-up and a shot on your hand, because your hand has a strange, beautiful ring. And I said, but I'm not interested in the hand and the ring. I'm interested in the interaction of camera and people and the evolution of a scene, the dynamics of a scene. So, and I walked away and we shot, and everybody was shivering and was afraid we have not enough material. Yes, I had enough material, but no way out to save myself. You see, if something is wrong with a scene, you can at least somehow cut away to you, for example, and forget about the mistake that you made. So, and I can cut around it, and I have no alternative. So I leave the set with a great risk, and you have to have the nerve to, and you have to have the professionality to take risks like that. But because of that, everybody knows this is a chance, and we have to put everything that's in us into that scene, into this moment. Otherwise, you end up with tons of materials, and everything is mediocre. And out of mediocre footage, even if you try to arrange it in editing in an interesting way, it still remains mediocre. So it's a real challenge that you have to put out, but it's a dangerous way to shoot. And I would advise you, if you do not have too much experience in filmmaking, to not be too overconfident and shoot at least a little bit of coverage, some sort of tiny bit, but otherwise, if you shoot too much material, then you're in problems again. Because then comes editing, and you have this overload of materials, and that's really a bad scenario.